Welcome back to another episode of Let's Face the Facts. I'm David Almeida. I'm an actor in Orlando, Florida, and every week I sit down with an actor or artist friend. We watch an episode of the classic sitcom The Facts of Life, and then I hit record and we talk about the show and anything and everything else it might inspire us to discuss. This week, I'm still a little sick. You can hear it. I'm sick. I'm vocal distressed. I am overtired. I am anxious because we have contract talks coming up at work. I've had a lot of people visiting from out of town, meaning a lot of gabbing. It's just been this weird post-holiday perfect storm of a lot of things going on. But thankfully, it's starting to lighten up now. I can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, but at least I can perceive that I'm in a tunnel. Anyway, grumbly voice aside, my guest this week is Dr. Steve Summers. He's back. If you recall, Dr. Steve is an actor, a musician, a doctor of chemistry, an educator, and the Associate Vice President of Arts and Sciences at Seminole State College. So I would dare say he may qualify as my fanciest guest. Anyway, we watched Season 4, Episode 14, Under Pressure, and the original air date was January 19th, 1983. That's all. No other introductions. Let's jump on in. Let's face the facts with Dr. Steve Summers. Hi, Dr. Steve.
Well, hello, David.
Welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
I am so glad you wrote to me saying that you were ready to come back on the show. I was thinking you were a season 1 person. Who therefore was entitled to a later show.
Well, you did not inflict any season 1 episodes on me.
I am pleased to say.
I came on right at the beginning of season 2.
Which I looked back, that was almost a year ago.
That's crazy.
It is mid-February right now. That was like March. It was like the first week of March of last year. That is mind-boggling that a year has gone by.
Yep.
But yeah, and you wrote to me, and I'm glad you did, saying, hey, if you can get me in before the end of season 4, I want to see my Eastland shows.
I know.
Because unlike some people who shall remain nameless, Matthew Arter and Paul Padilla, who seem to be under the false impression that the best seasons of this show were the Edna's Edible seasons.
Oh, my.
You and I being the same age.
Yes.
Our sweet spot is a little bit earlier than theirs because let's face it, they're younger. They're foolish in their youth.
Well,
to you and me, yes. I agree with you. When you said, I want to get another Eastland show, and I was like, fuck, yes, you do. Yes. I would too.
Yeah. To me, Facts of Life is Eastland.
Agreed.
Yes.
And I don't know if I've told you the statistics, but you realize Eastland was seasons 2, 3, and 4. Over Our Heads was seasons 7, 8, and 9.
Oh my gosh.
There are as many Over Our Heads episodes as there are Eastland episodes.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's probably also because the first season was at Eastland, not in the cafeteria.
Not in the cafeteria, no.
And it was very few episodes.
Right. But if you look at it this way, season 1 was 13 episodes, season 2 was 16.
Right.
All the others are 23 and 24.
Right.
But I think if you still do the math, I think there are a handful more Eastland episodes, but I should have been more specific. There are as many Over Our Heads episodes as there are cafeteria episodes. Mm-hmm. Actually, there's more because those are 3 full seasons versus 2 and 2/3. Right. So that's very upsetting.
And we're all trying to forget the first season anyway.
Yeah, and I've watched the last 3 seasons more recently than you'd think, because I didn't watch them when they first ran. We were in college by then, and that wasn't really our jam. Yeah. But rewatching 7, 8, and 9, I'm like, ugh. Those are gonna be fun to go through.
Wait till we get there.
But you and I have just watched season 4, episode 14, called Under Pressure, which originally broadcast in January 12th of 1983. Good Lord.
Wow.
Yeah, this episode...
My freshman year of high school.
...is 37 years old. That's right. This is the middle of our freshman year.
Middle of our freshman year.
Uh-huh. Yep. And by the way, this is episode 69 of the podcast.
Fantastic.
Giggity. So Just wanted to throw that out there.
There we go.
For those keeping count. The show was directed by Asaad Kelada, as were all episodes of season 4.
Was there anything else he did? Like, what was Asaad's
yeah, he went on
claims?
to Who's the Boss, and he had a whole full roster. And the episode was written by Sandra K. Siegel, who would go on to write 0 more episodes for The Facts of Life. And she doesn't have a lot. She only has a few things that she's written. She wrote A Love Boat. She wrote A Fantasy Island. 4 8 is Enough episodes. And she was a story editor on The Brady Brides. The 7-episode attempt to create the series after Marcia and Jan got married. And so she doesn't have a lot going on, not much after the 80s.
But that would have all been before this, I would think.
Now, of course, our title, Under Pressure, is named for the Queen David Bowie song of the same name, which had just been released in 82, the year before.
Okay.
So it was a huge hit. That was on everyone's mind. So it's about Mrs. Garrett's blood pressure. So we're going to call this Under Pressure. But I'm getting ahead of ourselves, particularly ahead of you, because right now, Dr. Steve, it is your job to give me the 2-sentence synopsis to tell people, what did you and I just watch?
The girls go to desperate lengths to help Mrs. Garrett stay stress-free.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And things take on a farcical quality. This is a very farcical.
This is a silly episode. This is a goofy.
It's funny. It's got the laughs.
Yeah.
The lesson comes very late, and the lesson is basically don't lie.
Hitting the basics here.
Yeah. It was a little broad. Mrs. Garrett, very broad.
Very broad, agreed.
A very broad Charlotte Rae episode.
Yes.
I don't recall there was an Emmy nomination for this one. Let's just put it that way.
She had a lot to do with it. I mean, this was about her, though.
True.
Yeah.
Very true. It was good to see her.
So it's good to see one, yeah.
So actively involved. You're right, because I've often bemoaned the fact that she's being cast to the sidelines. But this one is kind of one of those, okay, she's in the middle now. Is that a good thing?
She was playing to the back of the room.
Yes. Yeah. So let's get to this. Are we ready to jump on in?
Let's jump in.
Okay. We start off in the kitchen. There's activity. The girls are working in the cleaning. And you know how oftentimes you get like a joke before you get to the meat of the episode? No. We're getting right to it. They're working. Door opens. First lines. Hi, girls. Just got back from my physical and the doctor says I'm fine. Yay! It is like we just have to get this moving.
Yeah.
And that is what Mrs. Garrett says. She had a physical, and the doctor said she's fine. The only thing is, I have to watch my blood pressure. It was a little elevated. And they're like, what? What's going on? And she says, no, it's a family inheritance thing. It's okay. I have medication, and I'm going to avoid excessive aggravation. Now, interesting. Her blood pressure is a little elevated, and they've got her on meds already. Is your blood pressure okay? Have you ever had any issues?
A little elevated, occasionally.
Same here. And I think I have what is called white coat syndrome.
True.
Where when I sit in the doctor's office and they take my blood pressure, it stresses me out. And every time it comes back high, every visit to the doctor, they're like, you need to watch that. You need to watch that. It may be time, if this keeps up, we have to maybe consider putting you on meds.
I blame those machines they use.
They're stressed. Yeah, exactly.
It's horrible.
So I did get one of those because I'm a gentleman of a certain age now. I did get one of those wrist monitors, and you saw me at the top of this episode. Put it on. Every time I take my blood pressure sitting at home, my blood pressure's fine. I think it was 123/78 as we started this.
Perfect.
But when I go to the doctors, it's like 150/95, and they're like, ah! And I'm like, no, it's okay.
It's fine. I'm fine.
Jesus.
Yeah. Well, they'll be desperate to put you on something.
Oh, you fucking know it. And and honestly,
you have to resist. Yeah.
It's true. I would be more like, okay, we're going to be getting in the elliptical more. We're going to be biking longer. We're going to be doing more.
But lifestyle it.
Yeah.
Lifestyle it.
Lifestyle it. Exactly.
Absolutely.
So that's just interesting that it's like with a family, I guess with a family history of high blood pressure, we could maybe justify that they would put her on meds if her blood pressure was a little elevated. And maybe she's just trying to make light of it to the girls. That's the other thing, too. And she says she needs to avoid excessive aggravation. Meaning things like Mr. Parker.
He keeps asking her year after year to help him with his wife's party.
Yeah. And she bemoans that every year he gives just a few days' notice. And there's a little part of me who wants to be like, well, if you know it's coming and he only gives you a few days' notice, he does it every year. This is only the third year they've been working together. Right. 3 in a row.
3 whole years.
So it's only happened the last 2.
Right.
But her thing is, my thing is like, you do know you can pick up the phone and say, hey, I know it's January and your wife's birthday's coming up. Are you going to need my services? Because I will take the appropriate time to prepare.
I mean, perhaps she's just hoping he will leave her alone this time, but it never seems to work out that way.
Yeah. If she explicitly said, I haven't dared to bring it up because I'm hoping he might forget. Or something like that.
Right.
That would have been nice.
Right.
But as far as this goes, it's like, honey, you're creating your own. It's like you want to live with less aggravation. You have the power to get out way in front of this. Just saying.
Just saying.
Not blaming the victim, but it's her fucking fault. So then the girls are even like, is that part of your job? Why do that? And she's like, when does that matter? And she goes upstairs. And then we get a public service message from Natalie Green.
Yes, we do.
Daughter of Dr. Green.
Yes.
Where she says, wow, this could be bad. We have to treat her with kid gloves because so many of my dad's patients have hypertension. And the thing is, it has no symptoms, but it can cause stroke, heart disease, kidney failure. No wonder they call it the silent killer.
That's a lot.
That's an awful lot for a 16-year-old to just off the top of her head.
Whose father happens to be a doctor.
Yeah.
And she's kind of got all this.
Yeah, I mean...
And have we forgotten that Mrs. Garrett is a nurse?
Exactly. Well, to answer your question, yes, we have.
Yeah.
Everybody's forgotten.
We forgot it in this episode, and we forgot it when she had a boyfriend.
Yeah.
Who tripped and fell, or
whatever
happened to him.
And couldn't care for him.
Right.
Or didn't know how to dial an ambulance and say, drag his carcass out of here, this old fucking bastard.
And Natalie had to be the one to talk about what to do with him. I'm like... What
You're
are you doing?
I completely didn't mention that on the show when she was like, put the 2 pillows under your knees to relieve stress on the lower back.
Yes.
That's right.
Mrs. Garrett is a nurse.
She's a registered nurse.
Are you kidding me?
The show is getting to me, Steve. I swear.
Gosh. Yep.
Anyhow, after the Natalie commercial, they're like, well, what can we do about it? And it's like, and the determination on the part of all 4 of them is, we can help and not do anything to upset her. Long pause. Long pause.
Really awkward.
Awkward long. Please, somebody call cut.
There's another one.
Finally, we get up to Mrs. Garrett sitting in her room. And what is she doing? You tell me.
Okay, so she's paying her bills. They walk in, so they're going to help her out, do something.
Did you see what was on the tray? It was like, I guess it was a cup of tea and a muffin. On a tray. It's like, you have 2 hands, Tootie, and 3 friends, by the by.
Right.
And...
they did have lots of other things they were carrying for her.
But yeah, Joe had we'll learn that in a minute.
We'll get to that, yes.
And they're just like, it's funny because they're like, hey, we're just bringing this. And Mrs. Garrett is dubious of, like, what is going, what's up? What the fuck is this?
What do you want?
You never do things for me.
Yeah.
And they're just like, no, we just wanted to give you a stress-free day. And Mrs. Garrett says, there's no reason to coddle me over this. I am fine. And they say, okay, we believe you, and they roll the credits. End of episode. Oh, no. No. I'm kidding. Instead, they say, no. We want you to be in a happy place. Joe has a poster of Hawaii. We want you to listen to music from the islands. And Natalie produces a cassette Walkman with the headphones.
It made my heart smile. And the cassette was...
The Best of
Don
Don
Ho.
Ho. Don Ho. I used to dance under that name. But so this is their attempt, and Mrs. Garrett's like, girls, really, thank you, but I'm busy. I'm trying to pay my bills. This is what I need to get stress out of my life, is I need to get my bills paid and finished. And they're like, oh, come on, take a break, enjoy. And Natalie puts the headphones on Mrs. Garrett, and my first thought was, whoa, the hair. Be careful of the hair. Mrs. Garrett finally is like, okay, fine. And they do make a joke of with her with the Walkman ears on. She's like, it's a good idea. Yeah. Thanks, gang. And they're like, get the fuck out of here.
Bobbing and listening and enjoying.
Yeah, and bopping along to whatever music
whatever
they think
Don
is there.
Ho's saying, yeah.
And then the girls go into the hallway. And they have a moment of, aren't we the most awesome human beings on the face of the planet for how well we have just treated Mrs. Garrett? We deserve a fucking medal.
When they had earlier said, we're a joy to be with.
Yes. Yes.
So, yes.
Absolutely. So, no sooner do they finish patting each other on the back, we hear from the other room. Very uncharacteristic. From Mrs. Garrett, we hear, oh, shoot! Shoot! Oh! And you say shoot when you don't want to say shit.
Right.
In front of younger ears. You know what I mean?
Right.
No one says shoot without the intent being a shit. And yet, that is so not Mrs. Garrett. She's not a potty mouth. No. That was so, what a weird thing for her to do. And then
shoot is a go-to of my mother, by the way.
Is she really?
She's a shoot person.
Oh, your mother's a shoot?
Oh, shoot.
Oh, okay. And your mother's a very religious...
Oh, she does not curse at all.
No.
So it never means to be shit.
Oh, okay. All right then. Well, then
she's a shoot person. So
well, that
didn't even register with me as kind of weird.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, it's just we've never heard her. At one point, Mrs. Garrett sort of something like bull feathers, or she said something like that, like something very. I mean, we get so many I'm sorries. We get so much. Of Mrs. Garrett's Appleton, Wisconsin roots and Charlotte Ray's Milwaukee, Wisconsin roots. But there's so many there's just such a Midwesternness about like your mother from Cincinnati.
That's
Is that
right.
where your mother was raised?
Absolutely. Western Ohio.
Western Ohio.
Here and there.
Okay. Yeah. Not Eastern Ohio. Those heathen scumbags.
No, West Ohio. We don't go over there.
They say darn over there.
We don't go over there.
That's crazy talk.
That's crazy. Nope. West Ohio.
But they come in and they're like, oh my God, what's happened? She's dying. She's having an attack. She's having a stroke. No, turns out she sent in her car payment, but somehow didn't post to her account. And she's this upset over a simple clerical error where her bank didn't register what was to be her final car payment.
Right.
And
she had expected to get her owner's certificate.
Yeah.
And instead,
she
kind of a delinquent
a notice that was delinquent. So she was mad and upset. So to try and de-stress her, Blair insists on taking her car keys and driving Mrs. Garrett's car to the bank and going and doing the confronting of the bank. Because Mrs. Garrett's like, oh, these computers can drive you crazy. And, I'm so...
There's a lot of gesticulating.
Yeah, there's a lot of
fists and punching.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the broadness has begun and it will not stop for the rest of the episode.
Yeah.
And two things. Number one is, did you notice what was her key ring?
No.
Her key ring was the big round ring that could go around your wrist like a bracelet.
Oh.
That was a fairly new thing in the early 80s. And my mother had one of those. So when my mother was pushing her shopping cart around, I can think of several times other people passed her by and said, oh, what a great idea. Oh my gosh, you don't lose your keys like that.
Right.
You know, because think of it, particularly for women, it's just getting lost in their purse.
Right.
And
they have to dig for it. Or you lose it,
And oh my God, it made me think of that. What is that commercial? There was a commercial for one of those purses with the multiple, they had like...
All I can think of is Trapper Keeper.
No, this was an actual pocketbook, and it was like a woman
Okay.
with the kind of 70s hairdo saying, "Look at this. There's a place for everything. There's a coupon storage area, a place for photographs, your keys snap right in here. And then like, here's where your glasses go." And the glasses had their own case, but then they had a slot within the purse. It was just like a super crazy organized purse to combat the common problem of women just having piles of shit
Where's my stuff?
that they had
What
to
have I
dump
got?
out.
Yeah.
And I remember, and it comes in a variety of colors: tan, brown, black, or bone. I remember that, so I got to find this commercial and post it now. Oh my goodness. But that was the one thing. The second thing one might notice if you're watching this is we used multiple takes from multiple performances here. Because the back of Mrs. Garrett's hair, she was so upset some of her hair started coming loose. So when she goes over to the closet to get her keys, you see there's a piece of hair hanging. Then Blair says to her, no, I'm going to take care of it. You sit down. When she sits Mrs. Garrett down, her hair is back in place. But then in a later moment, after she sits down, you see the piece hanging. So
they've cut this together.
They were intercutting between the rehearsal taping and the audience taping. So just FYI.
You have an eagle eye.
Useless.
You amaze me.
And yet I missed
You missed
things.
nothing.
Other than Mrs. Garrett was a registered nurse.
a registered nurse. Yeah.
Holy crap. I got to go back and
That's
record that whole
ancient
show.
history.
My God. So it ends with the girls just saying, "Mrs. Garrett, come on, relax, stop." And she does say, "Now how to solve the Mr. Parker problem." And they're like, "Yeah, it's so pushy of him. You know, take a walk, smell the flowers, think happy thoughts, have a nice day." And then Blair buttons it with, "Today is the first day of the rest of your life." And I love this punchline. Is it me, or have you all become bumper stickers?
Yep. I wrote down bumper stickers.
Yeah,
I
that's
love
a
that.
great joke.
Yeah.
So, and then this scene also ends with a long, awkward pause, doesn't it? With them just sitting there. It's like, well, we're here to help you out if you need us. Pause, pause, pause. Dissolve to cafeteria. Holy
Multiple pauses in this thing, yeah.
Oh, my God. So now we're in the cafeteria. Tootie and Natalie are just now coming down from the room, passing through, and we run into Mr. Parker. So Mr. Parker's here for this episode.
We haven't seen him in a while.
It's been a few episodes. I was thinking we hadn't seen him since Read No Evil, which was the season finale of season 3,
Right.
with the books being banned. But we've had him 3 times this season so far. We had The Source, which was the one about the abortion.
Right.
We had...
Sort of.
Sort of, but not really. We had The Oldest Living Graduate with the old lady.
Oh, right.
He was in that one too. Oh, and that's it. Then there's this one, Under Pressure. That's it.
And that's at the end of the line for him?
Yeah, and here's the thing. This is the last time we're going to see him in this season. Like, he's not here at all. He's not even there, I guess, for graduation, which is so weird. But according to IMDb, we don't see him again until Brave New World, parts 1 and 2, which is basically the Edna's Edibles pilots at the beginning of season 5.
But we do see him then.
2, that's a two-parter.
A two-parter.
And then one more episode that fall. So, yeah, this is 83. This is his last year. He was only on 10 episodes total, starting at season 2. Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy, yeah.
But they peppered, it's kind of like Uncle Arthur. They peppered him enough throughout that he seems ubiquitous.
Yeah.
But he's not. Yeah. My voice is leaving me, so I'm going to start sucking on a lozenge. So forgive me for the new
There we go.
slobbery sound you're going to get. But I just need to produce some saliva here. So one of those moments, Mr. Parker comes in. Where's Mrs. Garrett? Tootie and Natalie are like, she's up in her room. And he's like, oh, okay. And starts heading there. And you want to be like, no, it's her bedroom. When the old lady from the Oldest Living Graduate was taking a nap, he's going, it's like, why are you upstairs? Those are bedrooms. And women live there. So inappropriate.
They are clearly free to go where they will, these headmasters.
I'm telling you.
They all have been like that.
Yep. The long and short of it is Tootie and Natalie convince him to take on planning his wife's party himself. So he agrees to do it because, when you're a headmaster and two high school girls suggest something in your personal life be handled differently, you listen. I know I would.
Well, you would. And he sort of unapologetically says he always takes full credit for it.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, so we weren't sure if you were an asshole before.
Well, these are the innocent lies that keep a marriage together.
He does say that, yes. So then Mrs. Garrett comes in, and we have one of those comedic buildups too. I'd like to talk to you. I know, it's that time of year. I know. So I have to do another celebration for my wife. I know. And I'm going to do it myself. I know. What? She's like, well, weren't you happy with what I did last year and the year before? And he's like, well, I appreciated the help. Absolutely. It was all wonderful. I'm just going to try it on my own this year. And he leaves. So then Joe comes in. And at this point, Tootie and Natalie are gone. They've left. So then Joe comes in, and she's like, what's the matter? And she's like, he turned me down about the party. He's going to do it himself. And now Mrs. Garrett goes postal here. She
DEFCON 5.
Like, yeah. She's like, there's somebody else. He dropped me like a hot potato. And really over the top. Something's wrong, and I'm going to find out the truth.
Big punch.
And punch in the air. And then off she goes. Okay. It's a party, and you didn't want to do it.
Anyway.
Then in comes Blair. Blair looks kind of stunned. Well, guess what? While she was at the bank, Mrs. Garrett's car got stolen.
She did pay the bill, however.
Yeah, she got the matter straightened up.
Right.
Straightened out. So she's like, yeah, well, when she gets the title to her car, that's all she's going to have.
That's all she's got.
So we have another awkward, long pause of Blair and Joe just staring off out towards the audience. And this slow pause. And then finally they do kick in the clap track, don't they?
Yeah.
Because it's like Mrs. Garrett's car's been stolen. Yeah. Because that's something you
Well
clap
done,
for.
Blair.
Yeah. And then we go to commercial. So while we're at commercial, there is something, we talked a little bit about your job and your career before. You are a doctor of chemistry. You teach at, you are the, help me again, not academic dean. You're a president. You're
I'm
a
associate vice president.
Associate vice president of
Arts and Sciences.
Arts and Sciences.
Correct.
Seminole
State College.
Seminole State College. So talk to me more. I meant to last time you were here talk more about your specific involvement with the arts programs and what you actually do as far as do you have some supervisory overseeing of like the music and the dance and the theater departments?
Right. Like all of the traditional arts and sciences departments fall under me. That includes arts and communication, which is where fine arts, music, theater, all fall under one of my departments. So, right. So, whatever goes on in there, I really support them. Like they come to me when they need things. And they really appreciate that I have some knowledge of...
That you're actually a performer.
I know what they're asking me for.
Yeah, I can imagine. This chemistry professor.
Right.
We got a fucking calculator we got to deal with now. I could just imagine them going...
This is not going to go well.
What? Look on his Facebook. He's in drag.
Right.
Holy crap. So do you... like, if they have to come up with the season for the theater department, does that have to go through you? Do you have to like approve the shows they do?
I wouldn't say that I approve the shows that they do, but they do talk to me and I talk to them about what their thoughts are on the season and what they're going to be doing and so they do great work, but yeah, that all kind of falls under me.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
What an interesting... We talked about your involvement as a performer, like with Central Florida Community Arts,
right?
And as a singer and as sometimes actor and a musician and all that stuff. But I realized we didn't really talk about the fact that you are also connected in the theatrical arts in a higher up capacity. Okay, well, we need to get back to this show because we do not know now what is going to happen between Blair and Joe. So when we come back from commercial, we come back exactly where we left off, where Joe was like, how could it be stolen? You didn't leave the keys in it? And basically Blair says she thinks she left the keys in the door.
In the door.
And so Mrs. Garrett's going to explode. So then Mrs. Garrett comes in, and she's like, how did it go? And Blair's like, you're going to get your certificate of ownership. I got that part squared away. And and Joe says, what happened with Mr. Parker? And she says, he went into a meeting. I couldn't catch him. And it looked like that caterer from Poughkeepsie. And so she starts laughing into crying. She's like, it's going to be fine. It's okay. And it's just like, it is so over the top. So not, it's like trying to reconcile this with the sensible Mrs. Garrett who gives such good advice.
Right.
Being reduced to this excessively emotional clown. And,
Agreed. I mean, she's so sensible all the time.
Mm-hmm. She says, well, Blair, do me a favor. Put the keys in my room because I need to go out later. Pause one moment. That's the point in the show when I went, doesn't Blair have a fucking car? How is Blair so rich? Why doesn't Blair have like a gold-plated Trans Am of her own at her disposal? How does that not? She's old enough to drive. She's 18.
She could call a driver if she wanted to. Well, one of the earlier comments was, those Warners, money is the name, greed is their game. I mean,
yeah.
She's got
so
money.
It's like, so why wouldn't a high school girl who doesn't live at home,
but incredibly wealthy.
But exactly. So that kind of was like
why does she need to take her car?
Yeah, we don't really.
Yeah.
We don't really ever answer that question. I can't remember where. Down the road, she'll have a car, I'm sure, when she's in college. I just don't remember.
But since they wrecked that van, they're not going to trust them with anything.
And that's right. Maybe they got their licenses revoked.
Who knows?
Oh.
Years worth of.
That could be. I hadn't thought of that. Well, now we're starting to get into really the sweaty mechanics of the farce. Mm-hmm. Where Mrs. Garrett's like, well, I need my car to go into town later because I need my electric typewriter repaired. You know the electric typewriter that is so important to me that I use? Never. And Joe quickly has to cover and say, maybe I can fix it. I fix motorcycles. Maybe I can fix it. And she's like, well, if you could, that'd be a big help. And then before she leaves the room, Mrs. Garrett turns back. You girls really are terrific. And then she exits. And it's just like, oh, dear. So we do know that Blair reported the stolen vehicle to the police, hoping they'll find it fast. That might be what saves them. And Joe hoping it isn't stripped or in multiple locations. So then Tootie and Natalie come in and say, hey, guess what? We convinced Mr. Parker to do his own party. And they're like, yeah, well, Mrs. Garrett is upset now because she thinks he's going with another caterer. And Natalie has the best line here. Keeping her stress levels down is keeping mine up. And it's true.
True.
It's so true. And finally, Blair says, well, I mean, there's no question. We're just going to have to tell them. Long pause. Long pause. Slow dissolve. It's the most, oh my God.
I wrote awkward cut yet again. Mm-hmm. It seems like, and maybe this is typical of a lot of the sitcoms then, but it's like there's just a lot of sloppiness to it. When I'm watching it. It's interesting watching these so regularly now.
Yeah.
I've never seen a lot of these, actually.
Uh-huh.
And just kind of, I don't know, it's just sort of sloppy a little.
Yeah, this one in particular, because they're working awfully hard to set up these confusions and misunderstandings. So in the next scene, we're in the kitchen and they're working a bit. There's actual food there and everything. Mrs. Garrett comes down and says, where's Blair? The car keys aren't in my room. Well, I need those keys. I got to go into town. And she has I need to go downtown and I need those keys. It's a really extended keys. It's really bad. Well, the girls are like, well, Blair is, we don't know. Finally, the person who we are slowly learning is the real dishonest, lying liar of the bunch, Natalie. Natalie's the one who has regularly and consistently proven to be of questionable morality. Natalie's the one who comes up with the lie that Blair is having the car painted. And it would break her heart if you ruin the surprise. So Mrs. Garrett Mrs. Garrett does say, that is the craziest thing I've ever... What? Why? At least we get that realistic response.
Right.
But then it's like, okay, I guess, well, fine. And then Mrs. Garrett's like, do you know what color she's doing it? I hope she remembers. I just love blue. And I'm just going to point out, if this car is the same car she had in the academy when she went to the academy with Jimmy Baio, brought the girls in there, we do learn later, but I'm just saying at this stage of watching, my brain went, she was driving a Volkswagen Beetle, and I'm pretty sure it was light blue, that her car is already light blue. We will continue this discussion in a minute.
We'll check.
Then she walks into the cafeteria, and in comes Blair. And now we have this cute little scene where Blair is like, I can't keep this from you anymore. I have to tell you, your car was stolen. And Mrs. Garrett, thinking that Blair is putting up a ruse, when Blair is starting it out, Mrs. Garrett, the batting of the eyes. Mrs. Garrett, I've got to tell you something about your car. Oh, really?
So many eyes batting.
Can you hear my eyes batting?
Eyes batting.
I'm batting my eyes.
I'll do it too.
We're both batting our eyes.
Yes.
Can you hear that? Yeah. We could feel the breeze from here, okay? And finally she says, and this is another moment I just love because it's like, really? She says, don't sweat it. These things happen. Hey, there's more important things in life than a used Volkswagen.
Yes.
So, number one, she has verified it is her Volkswagen.
Right.
But she pronounces it Volkswagen. And it's like, that's in no context do you that is a mispronunciation.
Right.
It is Volkswagen, and in German I am told that the V is pronounced more like an F. So it's a Volkswagen.
Volkswagen
is how you say it in German. In no place in Scandinavia, Germany, or Western Europe do they say Volkswagen.
Maybe that's the way they say it.
Maybe in Appleton, Wisconsin.
There you go.
So anyhow, she says, it's fine. Blue skies smiling at me. Yeah. And she exits singing Blue Skies to make Blair think about the color blue.
But doesn't she poke her head back in?
She just sort of stops and does like almost a little sexy look back over the shoulder, which is creepy. But of course she sings Blue Skies, the song that was composed for the 1926 musical Betsy, which was actually a Rodgers and Hart musical, but at the last minute they had to add some other songs. And Blue Skies is Irving Berlin. The show only ran 39 performances. How well known is the show? Well, Betsy, as a Broadway musical, does not have a Wikipedia page. And pretty much many, many obscure old turn-of-the-century Broadway musicals, or 1926 isn't that? I mean, Cole Porter was writing shows in 26.
Are you going to fix that?
So it's...
I'm
going to make it up. Betsy. It's a musical about a former theater critic for the Orlando Sentinel. We're talking about Betsy Maupin, of course.
Hello.
Our beloved former theater critic. So Blair is very, very confused by Mrs. Garrett's response. So confused that we have to have a minute and a half of her standing there looking confused before we have awkward dissolve number 4, I believe. Yep. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So then we're now in the cafeteria. Same day, Mrs. Garrett in the same clothes, laying out the tablecloths. That's where she's singing. Am I blue? In her beautiful, warbly soprano.
There's Am I Blue.
Yep. In comes a cop, Officer Franklin, played by actor Johnny Hamer, who is one of those character actors that has a fuck ton of credits. You don't know who that. You're like, I've seen him in a million things. Name one. No, can't do it.
Can't do it.
And but he actually transitioned in the 70s into a lot of voiceover and cartoon work. So a lot of his credits are in the 70s and 80s, and his series work is on various cartoons. So good for him. That's like the best.
Any
kinda.
voices that we know?
I don't believe so. Oh, he was on 20. He was on 20 episodes of MASH as Sergeant Zelmo Zale. So 20 episodes of MASH. That's, I mean, for an 11-year.
Substantial.
Yeah. He was mostly additional voices. Oh, he was on Madam's Place as Walter Pinkerton. I don't know who that character was, Madam's Place.
Madam.
But
Is that Waylon?
Flowers and Madam.
Waylon and Madam, yes.
Yes. Alvin and the Chipmunks. I don't know what voice. Again, he's just voices. It's so funny that in the 80s, it was just voices, and you got a big old dump of names. They didn't credit voice actors with their specific things. But it looks like he was in Alvin and the Chipmunks, Transformers. And his last acting credit.
Then.
Yeah, his last acting credit was Life Goes On in 1989. And I think he died that same year. Yeah, yes, he did. He died in 1989. But probably his best-known thing would have been that MASH. Doing 20 episodes of MASH, that's twice as many as Mr. Parker did of The Facts of Life.
Absolutely.
So in typical cop fashion, I'm here to talk to someone about the stolen car. And she says, are you the one who had the car stolen? And Mrs. Garrett says, no. And he says, I'm looking for Edna Garrett. She's like, well, that's me, but my car wasn't stolen. And he says, 75 Volkswagen convertible, yellow. And I'm like, wait a goddamn minute here. No. Time out. So I went and did a screen grab of her Volkswagen from the Academy. Now, it is nighttime lit. But I believe, to me, that looks like the light blue color.
That looks blue to me.
The common light blue color that you associate with the things. My grandmother actually had that same car many, many years ago. The only thing the only thing that I might let slide is it could be white, and just all the evening lighting, which is blue, is making the white look blue.
Could be white.
Could be white. Could be blue. It not
ain't
yellow. Not yellow, and it ain't a convertible. So it's like, so did she get a new car since season 3, episode 23, I think it was?
That was right near the end.
I mean, I find it hard to believe that she would have gotten a new, and she couldn't have been making her last payment on it now.
Right.
And it was it was a 75. This is 1983. Yeah. That's an old ass car.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is another one of those where, facts of life.
Nobody's looking.
Yeah. We can change the car from episode from week to week, yes. So in typical style, the car was found. So he apparently has brought it to her and gives her the keys and asks her to sign for it. Doesn't have to come to the station.
Oh, no.
Doesn't have to fill it out. Doesn't have to
just drop it on by.
Go to an impoundment lot or something like that where they would keep evidence or... Anyway. Finally, the cop is gone. She's got her keys. She's got her car back. The radio is missing. There was some crime committed. And then she looks at the girls and it's like... I need to talk to you. And Blair and Tootie and Natalie has another genius moment where Natalie just sort of says, before we unnecessarily make total fools of ourselves, is it safe to assume that you know your car's not being painted? And she's like, yes. And it's just beautifully, and honestly, you appreciate that in an episode where there's all this double talk and lies and, well, I'm telling you the truth, but now I don't believe you stuff. Yeah.
She's got 2 in a row right here, too, which there's a second.
Oh my God. It crushes. And she says to me, Blair, why didn't you tell me the truth? And Blair says, I did try to tell you and you wouldn't believe me. And she's like, well, because I believe them. And Blair said something like, well, they were lying. And then Blair says, Mrs. Garrett, I'll buy you a new car. And she says, I don't want a new car. I want honesty and maturity. And what does Natalie say?
Be smart. Take the car. So good.
And I'm sorry. There's a little bit of that Jewish thing that I constantly am pointing out that they're doing that thing. And it's like, you're offered a free car. You don't turn down a free car. What are you?
Take the car.
What are you, crazy? How many miles are on it? You know, I'm sorry. There's the subtle thing of, because, and as I've said, it's because she's so good at it. She's so good at delivering that sort of Borscht Belt Catskillsy type of humor. She's great at it, and it makes me happy. Make no mistake, I'm not criticizing it. I'm just saying
it's a beautiful thing.
In case you didn't notice. So Mrs. Garrett's like, well, why did you lie? And she's getting upset, and then finally they're like, your blood pressure. And she's like, oh, for fuck's sake. I'm paraphrasing. Mm-hmm. And she says, I'm sorry I ever told you. And we're like, yeah, so are we. And then Tootie and Natalie say, well, we didn't want you to stress out. That's why we talked to Mr. Parker in handling the party. And Mrs. Garrett says, and here I've been going crazy, thinking I did something wrong. Another extended Edna line. And she's like, I thought that I had done something wrong. And then we finally get the lesson. Girls, no matter what you do, you can't eliminate stress in your life. But you know what I'm learning? The best you can do is learn how to deal with it. Amen. Wonderful words. Mm-hmm. Amen, sister. Mm-hmm. And then, thankfully, the typewriter, which was brought up earlier, we do get the Chekhov payoff of that, where Joe comes in, hey, Mrs. G, I fixed your typewriter. And she says, oh, good, sometimes things do work out. And they plug in the typewriter, and she goes to type away, and the lights go out. Long pause. Long fade. And finally the credits roll, where you're like,
as they stand in the dark.
They stand in the dark, confused. Oh, Lord of Goshen, what this was, yeah, you're right. Wacky, was that the word you used?
Was a silly one? Wacky
silly,
one?
Yeah. Well, you are right. There's a little more silly, a little more wacky. I mean, interesting that they were able to sneak in that lesson at the end.
Right.
Because I wasn't so sure that we would have gotten there, but good on them that they were able to get there.
Squeeze one in there.
Very late in the game.
Right.
But yeah. But otherwise, I mean, it's got a lot of laughs. It's just structurally and character-wise, it's got Mrs. Garrett being pulled in so many different directions and having to play so many disparate levels that don't seem to tie her together into a real human being. You know,
she really is all over the place in this.
Yeah, very cartoonish. All right, before I send you on your way, my dear, you know, last thing, commercial from our childhood. Go. I gave you mine before with that handbag.
Oh, the handbag, yeah. We were obsessed. All my friends and I were obsessed with any of the Tyco race set.
Oh, with like the moldable tracks.
The moldable tracks, anything with a loop-the-loop in it. And then they came up with the one that would jump off. There was like a cliff it would jump over.
Yeah.
We live for those.
Okay.
To loop-the-loop over these things. There was a jump across the cliff. And then they had ones that didn't have the actual groove in it. Mm-hmm. And so they could switch lanes.
I remember those. That was magic.
Oh, my God. We lived for that.
Tyco Gar, I got to dig some of those up. I will admit I didn't take as much interest in those just because I was more into Barbies and I was
live your truth.
What you would call a homosexual. Not that you weren't, but I was probably a bigger queen than you when I was a kid.
I enjoyed those Tyco commercials, because I wanted every one of those sets.
Oh, yeah?
I could have had them, I would have.
Yeah, I did want them, and I did get them around Christmas. I think I did ask for them. Like, they were cool enough that I wanted. And again, it had to do with constructing something. There was a construction element of it that I absolutely was into. So I know I had one of the sets, but I know I was bigger into the Legos. And if I could have had my own set of Barbies and clothes, I would have. I had to get by with some Ken dolls and G.I. Joes and leave it at that.
Action figures.
Yeah. Well, Steve, we're at the end.
We are.
Of another episode, and we are careening toward the end of the Eastland years of this.
Eastland years are almost over.
We're in the teens now. We're already into, this is 14. We only have 10 episodes left before we leave Eastland, never to return. So thank you so much for making the time, for coming to be here, to do this again and for wanting to do this. And thank you for reminding me that you wanted to get in before the end of the Eastland years, because that is important.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Yes, I wanted to try to get in if I could.
So
Matthew, I appreciate that very much.
And Paul, it is important. So
this is the real show.
That's right. Yeah, our show is going to end in 10 episodes. I don't know what shit is coming down the line.
Whatever it is.
Yes. So, as I say, always do come back. This is not the last time you'll be here. Hopefully we'll have you back soon.
Appreciate
and
that.
Thank you. Smooches and goodbye.
Thank you, David. Goodbye.
And there you have it. That was Dr. Steve Summers. I thank him so much for reminding me that Mrs. Garrett is a registered nurse and that we forgot that a couple of weeks back when she needed to care for her elderly boyfriend Henry in September Song a few weeks ago. One thing I meant to point out, and I forgot, is that talking about blood pressure, Charlotte Rae did have a pacemaker. In her memoir, she wrote about the fact that she was having trouble with her heart, and when she went to the doctor, they said, we need to put in a pacemaker, your heart needs some help. And that was after season 2, where she slimmed down and really got onto a healthy program of activity and eating better, and she was really disappointed. She was like, I'm in the best shape of my life right now, and now I need a pacemaker. So, yeah, that's a thing. I don't know if that might have informed this show to some tiny extent as far as subject matter to give a plot line for Mrs. Garrett to be a stronger part of. Also, this show had so many awkward long pauses. I'm putting this is like a call to arms. Is there anybody out there who has a lot of time on their hands? You know those YouTube compilations that you see that people put together and you're like, that is amazing. I am so happy this exists. I don't know who the hell has got the free time on their hands to go through and assemble this stuff. Well, I would love to see somebody go through the facts of life and just take those shots of the long, awkward pauses and then edit them all together into this one long, silent video that essentially is just shot after shot of them standing there. I think that would be fucking hilarious. So, if anybody knows anybody who's willing to do that, I promise you I will pay you $0.0 for your time. Next thing that I want to append is the handbag. I couldn't think of the name of the handbag. The Ambassador handbag. That's the super organized handbag with all the snaps for the car keys in from the 1970s. And oh my God, I found the video and I posted it and I fucking love it. And then there's also a spoof of it that I added, which is also just hilarious. And the last thing, we were talking about Mrs. Garrett saying shoot, and my theory that when you're saying shoot, you just want to say shit. I forgot there's a George Carlin routine about this. And the punchline to the whole bit, and I'm going to leave you on this note right here. In the words of George Carlin, shoot is just shit with 2 O's. Next week, I'm going to be watching Season 4, Episode 15, Teacher's Pet. And my guest is going to be another returnee, Justin Schneier. So, hope you tune on in. And as always, thank you for listening. And remember, the facts of life are all about you. Let's Face the Facts was produced, written, hosted, and edited by me, David Almeida. My theme song was beautifully arranged and recorded by Ned Wilkinson. Our website is facethefactspod.com. You have to drop the let's. And that's where you can find extra pictures, video, and audio extras from the digital cutting room floor. Follow the show on social media. We're everywhere under the handle Face the Facts Pod. You can become a patron of the show by going to patreon.com/FaceTheFactsPod. And don't forget, go to your favorite podcatchers and subscribe, rate, and review. Tune in again next week for another thrilling episode of Let's Face the Facts.